Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om, I bow to the Lord Vasudeva. Joy to you, friends. We're reading from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, stanza 23. Weapons cannot cut the soul. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot drown it. Wind cannot wither it away. He's talking of the basic elements that there's earth, water, fire, air, ether. And that ether, you know, Yogananda said that space is a distinct vibration. It's a very puzzling thing. It separates the astral world from the material world, so that although all around us the astral world is there, and we have angels and demons and all over this world, but we don't see them. They can influence our thinking depending on which way we go. But that subtle vibration of space, which makes everything seem distant or close, it's really only a delusion of the mind. And I cannot explain how, as a vibration, it can exist, but I'm quoting my guru, and I think it's a fascinating thought to tinker with. But then air also, you know, Aristotle thought that air is not real. You can't see it. You can't feel it. But certainly a wind can destroy your home if it's strong enough. Certainly air is real. All these things are real. And the thing is that the more subtle the reality, the greater its power to destroy. An earthquake can destroy, yes, a whole city possibly, but a hurricane can destroy much more because it's a subtler reality. And the pralaya, when God dissolves everything back into the infinite, all the universe just disintegrates. Everything is resolved back into the one unmoving consciousness. But think how real these things seem to us. Water drowning, you see, it seems so real. And yet somebody told me she was on the point of drowning when she was a little girl. She was lying at the bottom of the pool. And fortunately for her, I suppose fortunately, they rescued her. But she felt this, she saw this light coming down and heard this beautiful music and felt very peaceful and happy. Drowning is said to be the easiest way to, one of the easiest ways to die. The easiest way is by heart attack, because once the breath stops, then the feeling withdraws from the body and you don't feel the whatever pain your body goes through. But in fact, death is much kinder than most people think. They see a mangled body after an accident, but the soul is taken out of that body before that great pain is experienced. The martyrs who had to be eaten by lions and so on in the circus of Rome, they didn't suffer pain. They experienced, I should say, joy. The fire that burned St. Joan of Arc, she didn't suffer under the fire because God takes those things away from you at death. Still, they seem so terrible from the outside, but you, your true self inside, can't be touched by any of them. And at the last moment when you leave your body, you will know many people have seen loved ones or their guru or had divine visions at death, and scientists will try to tell you, oh, it's just some sort of a aberration in the brain. Don't listen to those nincompoops. The experience that they talk about, they will only allow that experience if you can weigh it, measure it, move it, in something like that. If it doesn't have mass, weight, and motion, it can't be true. That's ridiculous. The more subtle the truth, the more true it is. And so our value system needs to be completely revised. if we were to understand how to move with a degree of sanity in this world. Understand that whatever attacks you can't attack your true self. I remember there was this big bully in Hackley School near Tarrytown in New York that I went there for 1 year at the age of 13. And I was, at that time, I weighed 107 pounds. This bully weighed 230. He was 15. And he somehow took an intense dislike to me. I remember he lived in the room right next to mine, and I remember waking up from my bed one time to see him looking around our window into my room with an air pistol. And I jumped behind a desk just in time for the bullet to hit the other side of the desk. He was sort of a vicious specimen. And he couldn't stand the fact that I just didn't take him seriously. I treated him with dignity and left it at that. And I remember one lunchtime, he sat down next to me, and he kept sort of scoffing at me for different things. He said, "Don't you know that you should drink your soup out of the far side of the bowl, peasant?" And I just didn't answer him. So finally he got so angry, he said, "Boy, am I going to get you." And so when I got to my room, I knew he meant what he'd said. So I tried to pile the dresser against the door and protect it in some way. We didn't have locks on our doors. And he came to the door breathing and panting, and finally he was able to push the dresser aside. And then he charged into my room and just began to try to slaughter me. It was really, we were 3 stories up, and he was saying, "Boy, I'd love to throw you out the window." And I just didn't care. I didn't. Sometime later, afterwards, somebody said, "Why didn't you shout for help?" I said I wasn't afraid. I lay on the bed and tried to protect my head as much as I could and just let him beat me to a pulp. And when he'd finished, there was nothing more he could do. But I found that with him, and also with a bully in a school in England who was much bigger and older than I, that if I didn't respond to their bullying, they finally left me alone. I think they were so in awe of my just not being touched by them that they were afraid of me. But in this case, he never gave me any more trouble. In both cases, they never gave me any more trouble. I always would stand up for myself if I had to, but I would never fight on my own. I would never attack anybody. To be non-attached, to be harmless, not to want to harm anybody, is very important. But remember that in the end, whatever happens to you yourself isn't really happening to you. It's just your body. I knew I'd get out of it in time, so I just didn't worry about it. And when people insult you, the same thing. Others will praise you, some will insult you. Don't get excited. Look at that story of King Henry V. Because the King of France, the son of the King of France, sent him some tennis balls. Therefore he invaded France with a large army. What a waste of energy. How ridiculous. Just tell yourself, I'm not this anyway. I am he, and nobody can touch my soul. Joy to you.